Hi, I'm Patrick Krupka. Today we're going to talk a little bit about dry bags. In a previous blog post, I talked about putting your disaster kit or your go bag in a dry bag, and there are specific reasons for that. Obviously, it'll protect the contents of the go bag or the disaster kit from rain or floodwaters. But if you're walking through floodwaters and you happen to have, let's say you have your go bag with you, and you have that on or with you and it's in a dry bag, that dry bag can act as a flotation device. Now, none of the manufacturers of these recommend that you use these in place of a proper PFD or flotation device. However, if you don't have access to a PFD or a regular flotation device, these can certainly do a good job in a pinch. Okay. Now, I'm going to go over the different types of dry bags here and a couple safety issues with them, and then we'll get in the water in a few minutes and actually see how well they work. These both are over here are cylindrical dry bags. If you look at them, it's a basic cylinder shape. This one is I think generally considered a medium size. They get small enough that all they can hold is your cell phone or your iPod. And then this is a larger size one, and they get even larger than that. You can get them with transparent windows on them so you can see the contents. I've seen ones where the entire bag is transparent. Lots of choices. You can get them in almost any sporting goods store, and they're not very expensive. They do a very good job. And most of them that I have come across are fairly well made. This is a backpack style. Now, obviously, one of the things I really like about this is the color, right? Bright yellow, and it contrasts with the black straps. So if you're evacuating during a flood, this is really great for visibility, right? If you're wearing this, you're easily seen. It's not a natural color. If you look at the back of it, you can see that it does have straps. These are padded for a backpack. It's not necessarily designed for a long-term wear backpack, but it certainly is functional as a backpack. This one is a duffel bag style. The color isn't quite as bright, but it is red. Standard medium-sized duffel bag, but it's a dry bag. It has sealed seams, and it's got the seal on the top. Let's talk about that seal on the top for just a second. It's something that's common to all of these. If you want to seal a dry bag, most of them have a tall flat neck, and this one does as well, even though it's a duffel bag. What you do basically is you fold this over on itself, roll it down a couple times, and then clip it closed, and now you've got a sealed dry bag, and the contents in here are going to stay dry. They all work basically the same way. Let me say something safety-wise about the backpack style, or even if you're wearing the duffel bag as a backpack, which can be done with these straps. If you're wearing that on your back and you're walking through floodwaters and you lose your footing and go down into the water, if this is on your back, it will immediately turn you face down in the water. This will be the most buoyant thing and will rise to the top, and because you're attached to it, it turns you face down. Now, if you're not a strong swimmer, you can panic in a situation like that. You keep trying to lift your head and you're fighting against the weight of the pack. Every time you lift your head, you lift the pack out of the water, its weight comes down on you, and you're going to wear yourself out very quickly, and you're going to be fairly panicked. If you wear this on the front, although you'll look a little strange, as you're walking you can hold on to it, and if you slip down into the water, it immediately turns you face up. Your face is out of the water, you're breathing fine. Much safer situation if you're wearing it on the front and it turns you face up, okay? And we'll show you some of that when we get in the water in a minute. But these are the basics of the dry bags, and we'll see you in a minute when we get in the water. Thanks.
All right. Next, I said we'd get the bags in the water and see how they do as flotation devices. So here we go. All right, now we're in the water. I'm going to start with the cylindrical dry bags. We're going to start with the medium-sized dry bag. Now, it's a little bit narrow for me to really hug, but I'm going to give it a try and we'll see how well it supports my weight. Now, when I take my feet off the bottom, I start to float, and the bag does a good job. I can keep myself up and over the bag with a little bit of kicking. If I go completely limp, the bag rises to the surface, puts me on my back, just like we discussed in the last segment. Now, if the medium-sized one works, obviously the larger one is going to work just as well, if not better. So that's not a problem there. I'll say what's most comfortable for me, and I tried this just a minute ago, is if I hold them by the clasps and just tuck one under each arm, that gives me a really stable foundation. And I actually, I don't have to kick my feet much. I can stay exactly the way I am because most of the flotation's behind me. It keeps me right where I want to be like this. Now, if I go too limp, it will start to turn me face down. You can fix that by just pulling them forward a little bit more, and you balance the flotation a little bit. But now you've got to kick a little if you don't want your feet to come up in front of you. Okay, but these work really well as flotation devices. They keep everything inside dry. Now, I should mention, for purposes of our demonstration, these are not empty, they're not just filled with air. They actually have things in them that I would put in a go bag. flashlights, batteries, clothes, shoes, socks, a couple of camp towels, those types of things. That's what's inside here. So they're not just filled with air. This is as realistic as we could make it. So that takes care of the cylindrical style. Now we're going to move on to the backpack style bag. Okay, this is the backpack style bag that I showed you in the last segment. You can see it's got the straps on it so it can be worn as a backpack. I'm actually going to put it on like a backpack and show you what I talked about when I said that it can turn you face down. Now you can see when I've got it on like this, if I just go loose in the water, it's going to rise to the surface. So as I go down, it comes up behind me and it wants to push my head underwater. Okay, now if I was in deeper water, it would be more dramatic, or if I made it tighter, it would be more dramatic. Now what works better for this is to pull it around to the front and put it on backwards like this. Now once I do that, I can hold it just like I was holding the cylindrical dry bags, and I'm fine. There's no problem with that. It keeps me buoyant, I can kick my feet, I can maneuver around, kind of like a seat cushion flotation device on a boat. So it works beautifully that way. Plenty of buoyancy to hold my weight, keeps everything dry. Same kind of contents that I mentioned in the last cylindrical bag demonstration. It's got basic go bag supplies in it. So definitely a good choice. Love the visibility out here in the sunlight. But just make sure that you're aware of the issues if you're wearing it on your back, and be prepared to get out from under it and turn it around if you end up needing to use it as a flotation device. Okay? But really good idea. I like this bag. All right, now we're using our duffel bag. I'm going to use it just like I did the cylindrical dry bags. I'm going to go up over on top of it and just kind of hang on it, just like that. You see it's got plenty of buoyancy for me. Almost too much buoyancy, tell you the truth. I can let a little bit of air out of it. And that's a good point to make. You can trap different amounts of air in these as you roll it down. You can squeeze all the air out to make it as small as possible. You can trap a little bit of air to make it more buoyant. In this case, this bag is about 3/4 full, and we trapped air in the rest of it. It's still got some extra space in it, but it does have some air. One thing I'll mention about this one, the straps are really easy to hang on to, either on the sides where they clasp or up here, so you can get a good firm grip on it. It's got more choices for grip than the cylindrical dry bags did, but it works very well. So obviously a good choice, good size for a go bag. Even if you're very efficient, you could probably get most of your disaster kit in this one bag. So great choice. As I said before, if you have a personal flotation device or a life jacket, obviously your best choice when you're evacuating through floodwaters to wear that. If you don't have access to that, having your kit or your go bag in one of these dry bags gives you that extra measure of protection that you do have a secondary flotation device that, as you can tell today, is very effective for that. All right, so I hope we gave you some good information. Get out and try it on your own. We always recommend that you use your equipment in practice before you end up in a situation where you're relying on it for life safety. All right, so become familiar with your equipment. Hope this helped you out, and we'll see you next time.